Welcome back to Lightning GIS. Today we're going to go over the differences between a file name used for, say, a feature class or a raster in a geodatabase or a shapefile in a folder versus the label used for that same data set when it's imported into a map in the table of contents in an ArcGIS Pro map project, an APRX file. So I have a map file open here. In ArcGIS Pro. I have a couple layers that I've imported. The first layer is a rivers layer called mo_major_rivers_clipped. The other is Missouri state boundary. Now, if we come over to ArcCatalog here on the right and we look at the data layers in my geodatabase, you can see that obviously the major rivers layer over here corresponds to this feature class in the geodatabase, and you can probably intuitively surmise that the Missouri state boundary goes with this mo_state_boundaries feature class in my geodatabase. Now, when you bring in a new data layer from geodatabase or wherever into your table of contents, it's going to inherit the name of that file name. So that's why this one still has that file name for it. And I can demonstrate that here. Here I have a layer called co-bound 2024-03. Not a very good name. It's probably not intuitive to you what that data set is. Unfortunately, this is the way a lot of data that you download from the internet for GIS comes to you, is with poor names that don't mean much. You can probably, a lot of these other layers in the geodatabase that I have, when I first imported them, had a poor name like that, and I've updated those names to things that are more intuitive so that I do not have to open the data set up to know what the data is. I can just read the file name and know what it is, and that saves me time in the long run. So if we bring this co-bound file in, once it lights up, you can see it's the county boundaries for Missouri. Now, the name of these labels in the table of contents does not affect the name of the file wherever it is sourced from. So you can see in the geodatabase here that by changing the name to Missouri state boundary, that didn't affect the file name out here in the geodatabase. If we switch to a layout view, which is what you would use to create a map with a legend and so forth that maybe you're going to use in a professional presentation, in a paper or journal article, or say in a poster at a conference. The legend entry names come from the labels in your table of contents. Now, if you look at this, these names for these bottom two layers here, they're not grammatically standard. They're not, especially the co-bound 2024-03, it's not intuitive to a viewer maybe what that layer represents or what it is. I think that it also, at best, seems lazy, and at worst seems disrespectful to your audience not to take a few moments to give proper names to these things. And it also, as I've already alluded to, potentially it's going to hinder the effective communication of whatever ideas and data you're trying to present in your map. So if we just take a few seconds and come back here, single click on one of these layers, we can just change that name to Major Rivers. This one we can maybe say county boundaries. Switch back to our layout view, and and as easy as that, we have updated those names. Our legend looks more professional. It's more clear in what we're trying to communicate with our data, and most importantly, I want you to also note that it didn't affect the file name out here in the geodatabase or the folder where that data is stored. These labels in the table of contents only affect what's going on in your map project file and your legend and so forth. All right, we'll call it there. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Lightning GIS.